Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, m.starkspal. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the wingman running the three, LT to Sage. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good, man. I got double mics, man. Just call me the real deal, Mike. Go Bill. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at Sage Network _ as well as Instagram at LT_the_Sage. Yeah, just come hit me up. And I'm getting ready to talk some basketball with Starks here.
Yes, this is going to be a good episode. We're going to touch up on more picks in the redraft. Before we get to that, make sure you guys check out newlifefantasy.com. Join the mailing list. Join as a member for free. Helps our site to continue to grow. Also, make sure you guys check out the YouTube channel that LT puts the hard work on. Sub-zero that subscribe button. Hit the bell, comment below, give us a thumbs up. Also, make sure you guys subscribe to Take a Ride Podcast. And like I said, what we're going to do in this episode in particular, I think before we transition into the redraft picks, we'll do a little bit of recap, but I think it's important to talk about, since, we're taking some time off. We're not taking some time off, but with sports taking time off, I think it's interesting to mention a few things. And actually, before I do that, I know LT had something he wanted to bring up, so I'll pass you the ball to run that offense on what you have there, brother.
It's a quick, just look out for it. They're coming out with the last dance, I believe is the name of it, for Michael Jordan. It's basically a story concerning Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. If you haven't seen it yet, I think it's either coming out tonight or came out yesterday. But a lot of people have been posting, a lot of basketball players have been posting, and it looks like Scottie Pippen's been getting the love that he rightfully deserves for a lot of what Jordan was able to do in those big those 5 to 6 championship runs. So I guess this documentary really shines on Scottie Pippen, and a lot of basketball players have come out giving their respects to Jordan. Durant said that if Jordan was playing today, he would be the best player, hands down, no questions asked, in the NBA right now. So he said, everyone's not going to touch that subject, but I didn't see it yet. I do plan on seeing it, but I just want to let my listeners know that something like that's out there. If you've been having a thirst for basketball, you might want to check out that documentary on ESPN.
Man, that's actually massive content that you just spoke on, LT, because I actually remember writing content last year on Scottie Pippen. I used to do the fantasy combat last year with like Scottie Pippen versus Ben Simmons. Who would you rather have? And, like, if they were like both in their primes today in fantasy, and it was more of a dynasty, outlook for both of them in particular. But I'm just trying to go off of memory here. But Scottie Pippen, man, I didn't realize how swell this guy was. And obviously, Jordan, we know what Jordan is. Like, I mean, I think we can all say he's the GOAT. But Scottie Pippen, man, he was no joke. Now, I understand he was. Oh my goodness, it's like he had to be the massive shadow to him because you play with Jordan. I think if anybody played with Jordan, you're going to be a shadow regardless of who you were. Even if Shaq played with Jordan, he would have been a massive shadow. But Scottie Pippen, I'm trying to pull up some quick stats on him. He was averaging at one point a year in 94, 95. He almost, that's what it was. He almost averaged 3 steals a game, LT. Isn't that outrageous, man?
That's a stingy brother, man. He was stingy getting those swipes, man. I can only imagine. What do you think with his other stat lines? Because I know some of the other stats are not as, I mean, they were good, but not as crazy. What do you think close to 3 steals? How much? Where would you pick him up at? Like, where would you draft them at in a draft?
Man, like today, that's a good. Like today.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's
if
a great question.
Knew he was going to give you 2.8, 2.7, 2.8 easy on the season steals.
Listen, I'm just going to be bold and say it. Like he's like a top 5 pick. Like he's a first rounder. And the reason why I even juiced the orange even more, LT, is because we know the NBA back then in 94, 95 versus currently, they play faster paced offense, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's going to create opportunity. And honestly, if he was to play in this generation, Scottie Pippen, that is, he would probably average 3 steals a game potentially at his prime. And not only that, LT, he was averaging a block that season too. So he was averaging a triple one on top of scoring 21 points. So just think of it like this. You know how we had episode 200, and I think LT got my juices running here. So when we had the episode 200 about Jonathan Isaac, right? If if only Jonathan Isaac could be more of a scorer, like even Scottie Pippen, Pippen was like 2 times better than what Jonathan Isaac could potentially be.
Mm.
Because 21 points, like he was averaging, obviously he was behind Jordan. So what if Scottie Pippen, played like a solo act on a team?
Mm-hmm.
Now he didn't do good, and I think what did he play with Houston one year or something like that by himself? He didn't do
Mm-hmm.
too good solo, but just think of it that way. He would be like a 20 plus scorer, 2.5 steals, and I think that's a safe thing to say, but I think 2.7 realistically with this generation and potentially a block. And he was hitting snipes, not high volume, but he would hit a snipe. So man, yeah, Scottie Pippen. I'm excited to. Do you know when that's supposed to come out? You said
It's either tonight or yesterday. I can look it up real quick, but it's coming. I think a lot of the NBA players were able to watch it early.
mm-hmm.
So a lot of them were coming out with their thought processes, but I think it's tonight. To be honest with you, I'm gonna check real quick. But real quick, career 2 steals per game average. Career
career.
2 steals. He didn't average less than a steal a game until his final season in the NBA. And it was 0.9. So he was pretty much there, close anyway. He was a monster on defense, and he was definitely one of those guys in fantasy you would love to have. It's crazy. Reminds me of Chris Paul when Chris Paul was like in
Yeah.
his prime. He stole the ball so much, man.
And another thing is like you brought that up. Scottie Pippen was a career averaging assist, 5.2 assists. So he was doing that and some, right? And the only thing there, if there's a knock on Scottie Pippen, so let me backtrack a little bit. He won't be a top 5 pick. He would be a back end first round because that charity stripe,
Mm-hmm.
his career was 70%. But he's the type of player, like, as you know, LT, I don't like to torpedo my charity stripe, but for Scottie Pippen, what he was doing, I would have bit that bullet because
For
of what the
sure.
production he did, man.
For sure. Nah, that I saw that free throw too, but he didn't have that many, right? So he didn't have that many. He didn't take a lot, so it wasn't gonna hurt you too much. But
Right.
yeah, Stark, just letting you know, it already came out, so you can go ahead and check it out. It's ready for you, man.
Yes. So I'm going to hold back on one of the segments because that Scottie Pippen, this segment got juicy. But I want to at least say this. Um, there's a little conspiracy theory, and I just want to ask you about it. So, 2016. Let's go back behind the curtain a little bit. As Lewis would say, jump in a DeLorean, right? Back
Mm-hmm.
in 2016, we know that it was the Cavaliers versus the Warriors in the NBA championship. Warriors was up 3-1, and the Cleveland Cavaliers came all the way back, tied it 3-3. Obviously, if you YouTube it, it's one of those ones. I think it has like 18 million views. They play like the last 3 minutes and 39 seconds. So the conspiracy theory, I'm not going to stop beating around the bush and just tell you, is that it looks like potentially that Golden State tanked on purpose so that way they can find a way to act like, oh, we lost to Cleveland, so that's why we got KD and we needed KD to win. Your thoughts on that, LT?
Well, the same people who made that theory, right, are the same people who also probably made the same theory about when OKC blew it to the Golden State, right? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't do conspiracies, but I was looking at that screen like I can't believe what I'm looking at. Something must be up. There must be a bookie somewhere, head honcho, mob boss that got money, man. Because that was I'm about to say ours because at that time it was ours. That was our series to win.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe they lost that series. It's disgusting. And so I can only imagine. I felt the same way during that series. To be honest with you, I didn't want the Warriors to win. So I was happy the Cavs came back, and you know, we're in Ohio, so you know, everyone was excited. Everyone was, you know, so smitten and everything. But so it was good to see people. My wife's from Akron, so it was good to see her enjoy LeBron doing well. But yeah, I mean, it could be. You never can tell with sports, man. Like the only thing that I can remember that like the Seahawks thing. Like, come on, like you don't run with Marshawn Lynch. You throw the ball in a very specific window that gets picked off when the guy jumps the route. It sounds like he knew where that ball was going. Then the only one that I can't even begin to imagine, and I'm going on a rapid chase here.
Please keep going.
Is the Giants. That's the one where there's no way. There's no way there's just no way, because David Tyree catch, like, you can't recreate that, like, even if you wanted to. And so it was like, that one was like, okay, that one's a legitimate, like, what? And then but there's a couple things in sports where you're like, okay, someone's like creating this script for us. We're basically, I remember somebody, yeah, really, and so I remember I don't know if it was my cousin, like my wife's cousin or whatever, but someone was like, you know, sports is just like male drama, right? It's like male soaps. Like, we watch it so emphatically, just like soap operas, and it's like, it's true. It's true. So much drama in sports, man. Like the little stuff and the way that the ESPN and, man, but it's fun. It's fun, and that's why I understand why people love soap operas, man. Once you get into it, man, it's hard to get out. But yeah, man, not to go down a very dark rabbit hole, but there you go. That's my thought process. So basically, yeah, it could have been a conspiracy theory, but probably not. Probably just Golden State. They're cocky. Like, that's why I don't like them. They're like super cocky. So to be up 3-1, I can see them changing their gears and just kind of backpedaling and like slowing down. And I was like, we got this. They suck. And then, you know, LeBron speeding up. So yeah.
That's really funny, man. I'm glad that you brought up the Marshawn Lynch, and then you talk about the Giants. Yeah, the Giants one, like you said, there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way that the fix was in on that Giants game. That was a crazy catch.
Mm-hmm. That catch is. There's some things that are just like, you can't recreate them even if you wanted to. Like, hey, go out and do this catch. Like, there's no way. And then, yeah, the Marshawn Lynch is a head scratcher even to this day, man. That's a head scratcher. They would have probably got it too, because I don't know, man. No, no comment.
Well, the last thing I'll say on the Marshawn Lynch thing, like, it obviously they didn't want to give it. Well, I'll say this, not obviously. Maybe Pete Carroll didn't want to give him the right, but like, if that's the case, you could have just had Russell Wilson sneak it in since you love him so much. I don't understand.
Anything was better than that. Yeah, 1 yard line. Anything was better than what they did. Anything. They could have done a pitch. They could have done a what's that counter in Madden, the counter play. They could have done they could have done a reverse where the wide receiver comes all the way around, catches it, and then pitches it to the other wide receiver, and then goes all. They could have done 10 or 15 other plays. I would have made more sense than throwing a heat-seeking missile low into the defender's arms. Like, are you kidding me? Like what are you doing? Like, he like took 1 step back out the pocket and was like, zoom, and it was like right into, like, dude, like, jumped the route. Like, huh? How did you, like, he was like, yeah, I knew, I saw that play before. Shut up, you got lucky.
They could have went old school and ran with the fullback too. There's so many things, like you
said. There's so many questions. Seahawks, you blew it. You blew it.
But going back to KD or Golden State, like, listen, like, yeah, that was the series when it was, you know, going back before that, Oklahoma versus Golden State, and I didn't even watch Game 7, man. I said Golden State's about to win the series. I'm not even watching it. And I remember, as you know, Turkey was like, "Come on, Starks, you gonna watch it?" Like, no, man. This
No,
this is
no
like it's
need.
already automatic. And there was already tickets for the Cleveland Cavaliers at the time to go against Golden State Warriors. Like they were already selling the tickets at Game 7. So I was like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's fixed, but hey, it makes you think though, right? It
Something
makes you think.
smells.
Yeah,
Something
something
smell.
doesn't smell too good. And as far as Cleveland and Golden State, I will say that last 3 minutes and 39 seconds did look. There were some spots. I will say this. I rewatched it a couple times. There was some spots I was kind of questioning, as far as even I know LeBron had that famous block against Iguodala, but typically Iguodala just does that weird jam. He decided to do a layup, so that's just one thing. And I mean that's me nitpicking, but hey, that's just one thing that I've seen. There's a lot of things I've seen, but as far as the conspiracy theory, I think it's always interesting. You just never know in sports.
And not the tag on that one, but are you telling me Kevin Durant, one of the best players in our league, just couldn't score? It was like all of a sudden he was bad, and it was like it's so silly. And then that's what it was. Like it wasn't. It's not Westbrook's fault. It's Durant's fault. They're having a feud, and so now they leave it open for Durant to go over to the team that bust them up. silly. But yeah, that's all. I'm not gonna get that. That's a whole nother. We can spend 45 minutes on that alone.
Hey, we'll do it. Hey, LT, eventually we'll do an episode. The listeners may not like it, but we'll go on a super ISO on KD on one of these episodes.
Woo!
We're gonna have to, and I know a lot of people
Man.
actually still like him.
Get your hiking boots out. There's snakes in the grass. Watch out.
So, listeners, I wanted to talk about another segment, but we are just need to actually get to the content for the redraft. So with that said, we will do a quick recap. So the first round and second round we touched up on. I'll go through this quickly. James Harden was 1, Anthony Davis was 2, Greek Freak 3, Towns 4, Lillard at 5, Luka at 6, Steph at 7, Joker at 8, KD at 9. Interesting. Kawhi at 10, Beal at 11, Trigger Trey at 12, Jason Tatum, that's interesting too, at 13. Devin Booker at 14, Joel Embiid at 15, and 16. Was that Butler? Wasn't sure.
Jimmy buckets.
Okay. All right, so we're at pretty much the second round, the 17th pick. It's up to you, LT. Do you want me to make a selection, or do you want to make a selection, brother?
It's up to you, man. I can go. You can go. It's up to you. Ooh, I didn't mean to hit that so hard. So I mean, I have a couple guys I know need to go. So at this spot, I'll go ahead and take it. At this spot, I mean, you got about 3 players that you can choose from, but I think I'm going to go ahead and go with old bones LeBron.
Okay.
In this position. I mean, you can't get any better production. If he has another year of just doing what he's doing this year, he's killing it this year. He's playing out of his mind. No one could have expected him playing this well. We thought that Anthony Davis, who is still killing it on top of the fantasy, top 5 fantasy production when he's healthy. But LeBron's been playing very well as well, and he's going later in first rounds now. In our league, Starks, he always goes earlier than than in most other leagues because we're in Ohio. So we end up in leagues that we are in that are based around friends or in our area. LeBron goes earlier, quicker because there's just LeBron fans in these leagues, right? So he's always gone before I expect him to be, especially on the later ends of the first round. But he still produces, man. He still kills it. He still puts in work. He gives you that triple double effect on a lot of nights. And to be honest, after that one season, he hasn't missed a lot of time as far as playing time. Now he does take he takes critical days off, and I will say that at the end of the year where you may need to win in a fantasy playoff circumstance. But to get you into that position, he's playing the games, man. So I can't say too much about him and, taking days off. Maybe at the end you can kind of see the critical, but you can say that for a lot of these guys, Jimmy B, Kawhi, probably KD, Curry, even our boy Anthony Davis may take some time off at the end of the year because of their team. So you just got to think about that going forward. But Starks, what's your thoughts?
I think that's a good pick. Nice, safe pick, especially in the redraft LT. Honestly, that's a small coupon cut right there already.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, like LeBron's 35, be 36 by December. But like you said, he doesn't really miss too many games, other than last year. It was a different situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's been playing pretty much a lot of games in his career. So it's almost like he ages well in a sense. And he was still giving back in first round value, So that's why I said you're going to cut a coupon a little bit on him. Obviously, the charity stripe is always not going to be too good on LeBron, but everything else is pretty much on point with him. I definitely, what's crazy, LT? I don't know. Well, actually, I did have him like a short amount of time, but I really have never had LeBron a full season, like in like playing in over a decade in fantasy. Have you ever had LeBron?
No, I could never get him, and I just think it's attributed to like because I would actually love to have LeBron in my squad, to be honest, but I've never been able to acquire him. He's either always taken, he always gets taken like so much earlier than his ADP. It's crazy in most leagues. You think you'll be able to snatch him up later in the first, maybe as a ninth in a 12-man team. Between 9 and 12, I would love to snatch up LeBron. He always goes like top 6, and it's crazy to me. And that pushes other people back, right? His points have gone down this season, but he was averaging 10 rebounds and 10 assists. 10 assists, which that's point guard, right? That's point guard levels. That's Magic Johnson-esque. And he was also averaging 8 rebounds. So he was giving you those big three, the 25, the 10, and almost 8 rebounds. He was giving you some great, and 1.2 steals ain't nothing to scoff at. So, again, like Stark said, you pair him, one of the main couples, or I shouldn't say couples, but one of the main duos was LeBron and Drumsticks. LeBron and Drumsticks is a nice little double tandem to have, just because you are basically punting free throws at that point. And with those two guys, Drumsticks does what you need to do, eat those boards. He just goes so well with LeBron in those draft category formats. So that's all I got, man. You got anything else?
Yeah, LT, I think you shared one of your secret squirrels there on LeBron and Drummond, that nice pairing. Because listen, if you do get LeBron, honestly, and LT had said Drummond, that pairing would be a dominant pairing, especially like you can get them both at the back.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
Very possible. But the only thing is, it kind of goes by how's Drummond's situation going to be. But it is highly possible if you want to take that stab. Drummond should be there in the back end 12 spot if you pair him with LeBron, and that would be solid, honestly. So just keep that in mind. That was a nice secret squirrel of LT. We haven't seen a couple of those in quite a while. So that's a special there.
That's what I'm here for, man.
So maybe. We'll go. Shut up. So we'll go ahead and go into a player that, man, there is a lot of players, LT, that can definitely go here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I have to start being a person that looking at how am I trying to say this? You got to start really taking some of these players because they're looking at you and it's like, I feel like some of these players I'm going to pass on, right? So one of these players that falls in this spot, I'm going to have to say is Russ, man. And although I'm probably going to pass on him, you have to probably get Russ at this spot. Russell Westbrook, he played a little bit better this season in a sense. Let me actually pull up his stuff here. Oh, no, he didn't play better this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, he played a little bit down, but I mean, it's still for his situation now.
Yeah,
it's surprising how well he's doing. I will say that because I thought he was going to really take a pretty legitimate hit, not a huge hit, but Harden does a lot of the stuff that Westbrook does, right? Pass the rock. I mean, he doesn't really get rebounds, but score, take up usage rate. So I was worried about Westbrook this year.
So, and honestly, there's actually someone else that sticks in my mind that I would probably take the risk on ahead of Russ, but and actually, since I'm stuck and I picked it, like I'm gonna take this like a real draft. Like I decided to pick him. You know, sometimes when you draft a player, you're like, oh man, I have remorse. I'm gonna have to still eat that because I would pick someone else ahead of Russ. But right there, 18 is not bad. So one of the things I did like about Russ, what you said, LT, he did take a tad bit of a step back. Not we kind of thought maybe a bigger step back playing with Harden, but his free throws was a little bit better this season, shooting at 77%.
But still.
Yeah,
didn't he like? It's funny. I was looking at his stats the other day, and I just remember him being like a 90% free throw shooter. Like, was he?
He was like 80. Well, I mean, he was 84. He was really like. I mean, honestly, it feels like 90. He used to be a really good free throw shooter. Back in 2016, he was like an 84.
Yeah, that okay says. Yeah, okay. And then he just dropped off the face of the planet. That's crazy, man. That's weird.
I don't know exactly. Like, I don't know how that happens. Like, you always think like if someone sucks at the charity stripe, they would improve, right? Someone this good just starts to do bad.
He's shooting the same. I've looked at clips. He's literally doing the same movements and everything. It's weird. It's a weird thing. Mental, man. Maybe all mental.
Oh man, yeah, could be. So yeah, I like I said, I regret this pick, but he's at 18, so LT, I will pass you the ball there, man.
Yeah, you're gonna make me pick a guy I don't want to pick.
I think I know where this is.
But I have to pick him because he's where he needs to be. And that's gonna be good old Mitchell Robinson. No, I'm just kidding. Kyrie Irving. Oh man.
Yeah, so Head
of Russell. Oh man. So just to give you guys context, if you watched the last episode, you know why. But he burned me this year in multiple drafts. But at this spot, coming around the end of the second, near the middle, the end of the second round, you have to pick him up. He is a top class athlete, basketball player. He just is ouchy. Now he may have some extra incentive not to be ouchy this year because the Nets, Durant's going to be back. They have a solid squad as well behind them with Crab Cakes is the only guy I remember. Who's the guy? Who's a White Knights guy?
Off the Brooklyn. You would call him Dinwiddie.
Dinwiddie. Yeah, Mr. Spencer Dinwiddie. Yeah, he's good. They got some. Gerald Levert. I mean Karis Levert. Sorry. And so you. Yeah, I was right. I was made to. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. So that is a great team, and so hopefully Kyrie can continue to actually play games next year and provide for your fantasy team. But at this spot over right now, we're at that 18-19 spot. Probably the 2 point guards that have been replaced by Doncic. I mean, Doncic is kind of a 2 guard, but Doncic and Trae Young, these guys are kind of out of that top 10, top 12 area. These guys were shoo-ins for top 10, top 12. They're kind of out of it. You got Trae Young and you got our guy Doncic probably jumping in there, kind of taking over. So I don't got much to say about Kyrie. He's a great player, but he just needs to stay on the court and watch his shoulders. And his legs and his arms and his I don't even know. He's man. Anyways, over to you for 21, Starks.
Man, well, you mean 20? It would be 20, right?
20. I'm sorry, 20. Yeah, 20 for 20.
Kyrie, that's the pick I should have taken instead of Russ. Kyrie, this is a really good pick, and I know LT is like one of those things that he burned you this year, and honestly, I didn't want to draft him this year because I felt like he was going to potentially get injured, and he did. I think getting him in that spot, he should be better. If there is going to be well, I wouldn't say this year, but next year, if there is even a next year with what's going on. But
Mm-hmm.
what he was doing this year, it's not going to be unnoticed. He was shooting at 92% at the charity stripe this year, man. Uh,
Mm.
that's just crazy. And it was 5 attempts. His usage rate was probably one of the highest. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, that's because of Katie wasn't playing, right? But scoring 27 points, I think that might be a career high. 6.4 assists, 1.4 steals. I remember years ago, LTI. Our trades, we never take each other for a ride. We always do pretty well. Have we took each other for a ride? I don't know. Maybe we have, maybe we haven't. But I remember like years ago. You remember when we did that Kyrie and Lillard, the Lizard trade straight up? I
Mm-hmm.
don't know
Yeah,
if you
yeah, yeah. I
remember.
remember. I remember that. Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, I remember.
And I think that worked out for both of us.
That
And
that I
honestly,
mean, it's almost a wash, right?
yeah,
It was almost a wash that year. Maybe Lillard was a little bit less, but it is it's one of those trades where you actually like almost was trying to like do me a solid, right? Do me a solid, get lit. I get so I can get my boy, and you were getting, I mean, Kyrie, which may have been a better player at the time, a little bit, just a smidge, but yeah, that was a good one. That was a good trade. Yeah, our trades are never like crazy. I don't go for roller coaster rides over here, man. Sage eyes can see the final destination roller coaster rides, man. I'm cool, man.
I think that was the same trade that I think Lillard was a rookie that year, so that might have been the first season. Like,
It was either a
uh,
rookie or a sophomore. It was one of the two. It was
yeah,
rookie or
one of the two.
sophomore. Yeah. One of the two. Because I feel like
Uh,
Aldridge was still on the Blazers when we did
Blazers.
that
Oh
trade.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm
oh
pretty
yeah, for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
Man, that was years ago.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. So
We're,
we'll. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we're old.
Yeah, we're pretty old out here. But Kyrie, last thing I'll say this, he was top 5 when he was playing.
Yeah, he was. That's why it makes me even more upset. Like I was like when he was healthy, I was winning like different leagues, other leagues that I was winning. And then when he kept leaving and going, it's like a team immediately hit rock bottom. I think in one league I had like a Giannis. I think I had Greek Freak and Kyrie. Maybe not, but it was like it's just it was man. It's just no. I had Lillard and Kyrie. Funny enough, I had Lillard and Kyrie in one of my leagues, and every time Kyrie was playing and Lillard was playing, man, I was smashing people, man. But then as soon as Kyrie got all those ouchies, man, it was like it was just didn't have that oomph to keep up with some of these other juggernauts in the league. So yeah, I don't know, man. I'm sure I'm gonna have to pick them next year too. So we'll see.
I think your style in fantasy has been interesting the last couple of years, man. You've changed, man. You used to be a kind of like a Donkey Kong style. You used to like the cheapy point guards, man. Now it's kind of reversed for you, huh?
It's rough. I'm looking at the league, right? So there used to be a lot of cheapy point guards you can grab, and I felt like they would give you a pretty good quality that people would forget about, and you can get in later rounds. Now I feel like everyone's grabbing. A lot of people grab point guards, and there's not a lot of like low key good like back end point guards really anymore. Like I mean, you got
Darren Collison
yeah,
back
like a
then.
Darren Collison, like he was like a starter. He wasn't flashy, but he got the job done. He was you got the job done, and you can pick him up. What ninth, 10th round sometimes, like back in. I'm trying to think. There's a couple I can't think. Like Rondo. Rondo was another one that I liked. Not when he was in his Celtic days, but a little bit afterwards. He was still 8, 9, 10 assists. He wasn't scoring, wasn't hitting threes, but I just needed some assist stats. Some steals. That's all I was looking for. And so it's not really anything like that right now. I mean, you got your top like 15 point guards, and then everybody after that is like they're not even getting playing time. So it's rougher, and then big guys. I feel like they're rotating big guys more now. Big men aren't, putting up 30 minutes per game anymore. They're rotating out with these other guys, and more big guys are getting. I've seen so much like one center has 12 rebounds and another center has 8 or 9. One center has a 10 rebounds. So there's just a lot more like wealth in the big man pool to go heavy on point guards early, get the high tier point guards early, and kind of going with the back end big men at the end. And we just happen to play with somebody who just goes big, like Lewis. He just picks all the big guys. So it makes it hard to do that strategy because you got someone in your league. If you have someone in your league that just refuses to pick up any point guards ever in the entire draft, then maybe it would make more sense to do that. But drafting with these clowns sometimes is like it's like you got to understand, like, there's gonna be no big man. He has like 12 on his team and 1 point guard. I don't even think he had a guard on his team at the end of the draft. I don't remember him having a guard. So, but yeah, man, I love me some cheapy bigs now, but it all depends, man. Sometimes that style got to change depending on your draft position, who gets passed up in the draft. Drafting is like my favorite part of fantasy. Just so many different variables, and you got to account for them all in order to have the highest success. So,
no, that's true. Because, like you said, like most of the elite guards, they dry up quick.
Man.
I mean, I guess it's fair. The elite guards is what now you can probably consider Trae Young, Steph Curry, well, obviously Harden, but it's like it starts to kind of dwindle down pretty fast, right? I mean, obviously there's good guards, but there's not super elite guards like they used to be.
Yeah, to me, like, I'm looking through the list right now, and to me, like man, like I'm on the third page of this list, and I mean, Ja Morant. I mean, maybe him. He's maybe he'll be good. I mean, but he'll probably be like a back end point guard. As far as the stock, like maybe a 4th round. That's it, man. Him, and there was one more point guard I was looking at. A Fox. What does the Fox say from Sacramento? Those guys are still going to go early. That's the crazy thing about it. Ja Morant and De'Aaron Fox are going to go early in the first half of the draft. They're not going to be available after round 6. It's just not going to happen. So it makes it harder to. I mean, you got Ben Simmons. He's going in the second to third round. It's point guards are just a high premium now. People realize that after so many fantasy seasons, and big guys are kind of available.
Right. Now I'm gonna pick at 20 here, and I don't think that a lot of people are gonna like this pick.
And
it's because what happened this year. And the thing about me is I'm a person that's willing to be a forgiving coach or a GM. I remember a few years back I was in a very competitive league, and a lot of people kind of gave up on him on the freak accident injury. I think it was Team USA. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Paul George.
Yeah.
He tried, that dunk, and he just that was a terrible injury, and it was a clean break. So I remember one of the leagues that I was in, I took a risk on him, and it was like the early 3rd round in that year, and he did well, and that actually got me very deep into playoffs because I was able when you're in a very competitive league. Here's your cheat code. If you're in a very competitive league, because me and LT, we play in competitive leagues, but we like to play in a lot of friendly, fun leagues, right? But in some competitive leagues, you have to take the shot. You definitely have to take a shot, because if you just do the basic drafting, you might be the person being on the end of it taking the L if you don't take a couple of chances. You don't obviously want to take chances in the first couple rounds, but someone like this, you might want to do it. Paul George, and the reason why I say that is listen, he's 29, maybe 30, getting around that scale. But I know this year was bad. I know it was for him. He was a top 30 player. You expected more from him. And honestly, he had a career year last year when he was with OKC. Obviously, Russell Westbrook was basically giving Paul George the keys there. In a sense, they were going back and forth when they were in OKC. A top 3 player, obviously that was a career mark. And I know I can't be a person of the past, because I know what LT says and what we're accustomed to is what have you done for me lately? And what he did lately was not good. And he played next to Kawhi Leonard. And in that sense, 21 points this season was his average. And I have him in a dynasty format. So I know the pain that, you listeners was dealing with if you drafted him in a redraft format. His steals really took a massive dip down. And honestly, that is a concern. Um, that is a tough spot, and he's still playing with Kawhi now. Let's just think of this hypothetically next year, and they play together again. I think Paul George will be healthier, and he should be better where he can at least maybe get his steal rate up to 1.7, because the last couple years he was averaging at least 2 steals a game, and then last year 2.2 steals a game. What I was also concerned about, his usage rate took a massive bump down. Like I said, they were kind of working him into the system when he was getting healthy. They were, they were trying to figure it out with him and Kawhi this year. I think it's fair to say. So there was times he looked slow, and I watched him play. He just didn't look good. But I will take a risk on him. And honestly, in a lot of leagues, he's going to go further back, it's warranted. So, but I'm just going to assume like this case that if the preseason didn't happen, or if the preseason happens, for instance, and he looks good, then that's the perfect spot. And he's probably going to go higher, obviously, than that. If he looks good in the preseason, he might go as early as the earlier second round. But as of right now, if we had to take a stab at it, that's where I would pick him at. LT, I will pass you the ball on your thoughts on that.
PG, man. I love PG. I've picked him up plenty of times in fantasy. Starks know this. He's one of my favorite small forwards to own back in the day. And it's because he gave you everything. Me and Starks always talk about the whole kit and caboodle, the whole box, and he used to give you those steals. He used to, I know the blocks look low, but he used to come in with some multi-block games as well. Low turnovers, that's another thing, another cheat code for you guys. He never really turned the ball over that much. He averaged about 3 a game for somebody who was scoring, 21, 28, 23 points. The only thing I will say about Paul George that is a little concerning is his minutes. His minutes have took the biggest hit they have in the last couple of seasons, and he's only he's working about under 30 minutes per game. So that means that unfortunately he's been influenced by Kawhi. And he's taking a lot more chill pills. A lot more games, chilling on the bench, and so the minutes are showing. So it looks like he's going to go into Danny Granger status here soon.
Shut up. You take that back. You take that back.
Danny Granger status soon. I mean, that was the original duo. But Danger Granger, he's going to relegate to that Danny Granger role for Kawhi, and that's just the way it works, man. Everything comes full circle, man. So, but I know Danny Danger Granger is one of your guys. Starks.
Oh man, love that dude, man.
My next pick, Starks. I'm gonna be honest. You can pick and plop this guy anywhere on the second round list, man. Forgot about him, and it's my guy. So I can't believe I forgot.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'll buy my guy Pascal Siakam.
Oh, okay.
And Siakam, I think me and both line were talking about him earlier this year. Other than another unnamed person that I won't mention, that I should have traded for for Jackson Jr. We won't talk about him. But Pascal Siakam was having a crazy year. Now he had a good year last year, and kind of being behind Kawhi Leonard, he was coming out. He played very well in the playoffs, and that's what caught my eye. Right, Starks. I watched the playoffs, and I was like, man, this dude Pascal, man, he's doing ISO movements. He's coming off of pick and rolls. They're writing up plays for this guy in the playoffs. He's scoring. He's putting in work. And guess what? He delivered on my what I saw, and he added that up. Now, I do take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. Why? Because he's on Toronto. Guess what? If you're on the starting five in Toronto, you're gonna put up points. You're gonna put up fantasy numbers because they're working.
You're gonna put up sweat.
Hey, sweatshops, okay. Remember that old Nelly album, Starks sweatsuit? Yeah, sweatsuit with the double album. Hey, no suits. Hey, Toronto doesn't rock with no suits, all sweat, baby. Man, but he was hitting 35% of his threes, 80% of his free throws, 7 rebounds, almost 4 assists a game, 1 steal a game, almost 1 block a game at 23.6 points. He did miss some time this year. He did. Everybody in Toronto actually ran into a little bit of injury issues because guess what? All their bones are breaking gradually from all the minutes they're playing. But other than that, so his points and everything else might have been a little bit higher if he were able to play a little bit more, not have dealing with that injury. But yeah, I like Pascal. I like him to get even better next year and start really getting into the category of top 30 players cemented. I think he was top 30 this year anyway. So
it's still
35, around 35. Yeah. So next year, I think he kind of goes past that top 30 point, and he's up there. So picking him up, and if you can pick him up later in the second, to me, that's a steal. But he can go a little bit earlier than some of these other guys on the list that are just getting older. And I would take more credence into Pascal being healthy than Kyrie Irving any day of the week. So I picked Kyrie in that spot, but if I had the choice, if I was in front of me in a draft situation, I'll probably pick up Pascal depending on who I got first round. But yeah, that's my pick there at 21.
All right. So yeah, Pascal. That's an interesting pick right there. But I think he does potentially take even another step forward, especially in Toronto. He can definitely do it. What I was concerned about a little bit, if you guys like field goal percentage, I expected his field goal percentage to take a little bit of a leak there because, Kawhi Leonard wasn't there, so he had to take more responsibility. With more responsibility, that means you have to take more shots. And taking more shots, there's a good chance you're going to have that field goal percentage drop a little bit. And it did. From those that was spoiled the year prior to it, I think he was shooting about 54% versus this year 45%. So that is a massive dip. But honestly, as you know, LT, and the listeners probably know by now, I don't care about field goal percentage. So that's lovely for me. But if those that really love the field goal percentage, shooting close to 46% is not bad actually at all. But what he was doing at 54%, that is a lot better prior to. But so that's not a bad pick there. So the pick at 22, I'm stuck between 2 players, but
okay.
One of them is I think is one of the guys you like. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and pick him because I'm going to go with my old heartstrings on this one. Okay. And I don't like to be a person of my old heartstrings on certain players, but I think if he stays healthy, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pick your boy, one of your guys, I think. I'm going to pick Ayton here, Mr. Okay. PEDs himself.
No, was it PEDs or was it it was PEDs.
Was he no, was Collins PEDs? Which ones?
No. Ayton was PEDs too. He was roiding out.
Was Collins doing anything? Or was he cool?
John Collins? What did John Collins do? I think John Collins was PEDing too, man. I can't remember. I hold on, let me see. John Collins.
Yeah, I don't know. I
don't remember.
I know Ayton was on PEDs or something, man. He was taking the juice.
Yeah. John Collins got that 25.
He was hitting syringes too.
Yeah, he was hit. He was probably with Ayton. They both were probably jacking them up. John Collins got hit with 25 games as well.
Oh man, they was both on the syringe. So
yep.
Man, wow. Oh, so I'll just go ahead and say the other guy that I was debating. The other guy I was debating with Aiton. It was the original unicorn that I love, Porzingis, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was tough. It's really tough. If you, I'll say this: if you give me a healthier, if I'm sure, for sure 100%, but I mean, what Aiton was on PEDs, right? But
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm just gonna talk myself into it and just say Porzingis, man. I'll let you pick Aiton. So I'm gonna take Porzingis here. And the reason why I do it is because the blocks. It's simple. And the threes. It's simple. A big that can give you blocks in a boatload of threes, plays on a good team, a playoff ready team, which is the Mavericks playing with Luka. And as you know, T, when Luka had to take some time off, Porzingis was a monster. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, let me just
Yeah,
go
he
ahead and
was.
say this: the last 9 games that Porzingis was playing, he was the number 3 overall player in fantasy in 9 games.
Mm.
He was
Mm.
scoring, and the averages follows this in those 9 games: 23 points, 3 snipes, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, out of position assists, not too bad. 3 blocks. Now, obviously, his field goal percentage wasn't too good, 43%. But again, I always don't care about that. And the free throw percentage was 78%. I still think he's an 80% shooter, so I think there's still room for him to grow. And honestly, yeah, I'm going to take him over 80. I'm not even going to, I don't even care. I'm going to take the risk here. Any thoughts?
No. I had Porzingis this year in a league, and he actually was doing great. He had a little bit of stint of injuries, and that's something you're always worried about with Chris Stapps. But yeah, man, he's a beast. And to be honest with you, you got to think about future. This was the year to be worried about him. He seemed pretty decent. He's gonna have some time off. If they don't have a playoffs, then he'll have even more time to rest, get stronger. He came back diesel, came back looking buff.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
Yeah, man. I don't know about a unicorn, more like a stallion now. The way he was getting buff out, he's looking buff. But I like him, and he is a great compliment to Doncic. He is a recipient of so many easy buckets because of Donnie Boy. So that's something that you're gonna that you have to look at too. How easy can he score? And Luka makes it easy for him. But I'm not gonna go Ayton with this pick, Starks, even though Ayton is my guy. And this I'm gonna you're good. I'm gonna go with a guy that again is going to go earlier in drafts. Okay.
Uh-oh.
He's gonna go earlier than all of these players in the second round. Maybe if your league's smart, he won't. But
Uh-oh.
there's a guy here that was unfortunately not able to be picked up this year in drafts. Well, he was, but he had a significant injury starting off, and I'm talking about nobody else other than Zion Williamson.
Whoa.
Zion Williamson. So
That's good.
Zion Williamson is a very interesting player, and to be honest with you, I completely forgot about him. Right? He didn't play most of the year. He came on later on, but he has been a beast coming on, and the reason why he's so good is the opposite of what Starks doesn't like. Right? Starks is he's a jack up as many shots as you can. Do whatever. I don't care how many shots it takes. Just get the
That's
job
right.
done, get scores, be wild, turn the ball over 6 to 8 times. That's
Yeah.
cool with me.
Love it.
But Zion, this man is a field goal percentage monster. Look at these field goal percentages,
Yeah.
58.9. That is absolutely crazy for a big man who is putting up 15 shots a game, and probably will expand that amount of attempts next year. Now, if that makes it go down a little bit, he has so much room to go for him to, if he can he might boost up to 17 and 18 shots per game. This is on limited time too. They had him, playing limited games, limited time in some of these games. He did have an average of 30 eventually, but man, his free throws are a mess. I do
That's
give
right.
you that. His points are good, and you want to see some more peripherals from him, right? You want to see some better steals. He's not going to be a block artist. Let's be honest. He's undersized at his position, but his rebounds, I can expect those to go up. His steals, I do expect those to maybe stay around that area, maybe get to the 1.0. And then just the fact of that next year he'll be healthy, he'll be starting from the beginning, and he'll be able to probably get way higher than 23.6 points per game next year. Not I shouldn't say way higher, but I can see him getting to that 26 to 27 point range per game. Because he's probably going to be playing hopefully closer to 35 minutes, 32 to 35 minutes per game. Because he's young, right? And he finally learned how to run. So yeah, other than that these are one of those guys that I love to see in a draft. I'm gonna give you guys a little Sage Eye preview here. I love Zion Williamson because guess what? He's flashy, man. He's flashy, but when you start chopping up these stats, man, on a 30 minutes per, there's a bunch of players we would love to see have 30 minutes, right? He has 30 minutes average. Hey, only 19 game sample, but guess what? He's just a fly. He's flashy. That's it. He's flashy. 23 points. Doesn't even get you a steal. Only get you half a block. Only get you 2 assists. Come on, man. And then you 7 rebounds, but he's jumping all over the place. But he will go before a lot of these other players because he's Zion Williamson. It's going to happen. So if you're in a competitive league where everyone's not drinking the Kool-Aid, then guess what? Too bad. But if you're in leagues like me and Starks are, where it's people are joining the league and you got somebody in your league that's like, oh man, Zion's probably awesome in fantasy because he's just dunking on everybody and he's probably, take advantage of that. Someone's going to fall in that position, pick them up, look for those value adds because people are grabbing their favorite players, grabbing players that they should wait another round for. Keep your eyes out for those things so that you can win the draft so you can win your league.
That was well put. And now this is where we obviously start clashing here. It's perfect. We needed this. And I'm glad that you brought Zion Williamson up because you're not the only person that has the love for him. And he's a talented young guy, a talented young man he is. But here's a few things that I'm concerned about. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly this is the right spot, and he's going like you just said, LT. He's probably going to go higher. I would not be. Listen, if you have a back end first round pick, someone's probably going to pick him and Trae Young just to do it, just because, right, in a redraft format. And so honestly, he could go in the first round back end. Am I going to do it? No.
I would, and I was going to say, and realistically,
you would.
I would.
Maybe.
I would take his teammate before him, to be honest with you.
Ooh.
Mr.
Ingram. You know what's crazy? When you brought him up, I thought the pick for this, I thought you were picking him in this pick.
You thought I was going to pick him in this pick?
I thought you was.
Well, I'm trying to be realistic, right? So,
sure.
Zion's going to go before Brandon Ingram. But if you're to be completely serious about fantasy, if you're thinking fantasy, Brandon Ingram, what he's done this year, just look at that free throw, 85.8 free throw percent. Man, yeah, Ingram over Zion every day of the week, but Zion's going to go before him.
Right. So, what was I going to say? So, as far as, Zion Williamson, real quick, there was something I was going to say. I don't know. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Points league, I'm taking Zion in the first round. Easy. I'm not even thinking about it. Like, he could be a top 5 pick. I'm not going to even – he probably is going to go that high in points leagues. Redraft, as you know, T, for me, it's going to be completely different because I'm looking at categories and I'm analyzing it like a nerd for all the wrong reasons. And, LT, I like spice too as much as you do. He's a spicy player, but this type of spice, I don't want nothing. It's not – this spice ain't nice for me. And the reason why I say that, and LT knows, that charity stripe, listen, you're punting. There's no hiding from that. There's no one. Harden can't save that charity stripe. Shooting at 8 attempts a game, 64%. That's almost Drummond-esque. I'm cool. I don't want to touch him. And I'm just going to go ahead. I think this is going to make sense because we'll touch up on one more player and then we'll end this episode because we're this was the best pick, I think, for this episode, Zion Williamson here. And I just want the listeners to understand, I don't want you to think that I don't like Zion Williamson. But I remember a lot of people was like, I'm going to take Zion Williamson in the dynasty format over Luka. I was like, wait, just a minute there. And this is before, obviously, this year started. Everybody, there were starting to be things that like, oh, I'm going to take Zion Williamson. This is before he got hurt. People were like, I'm going to take Zion Williamson over Luka. I'm like, I don't know if you should do that. Let's settle down a little bit. Let's let this play on. I'm still going to take Luka, but maybe Zion Williamson could be better. I'm not saying Zion Williamson is not going to potentially be better than Luka, but I know that you're starting to question things a little bit, how things are looking in the NBA now, aren't you? But anyways, that's beside the point. We won't get into that rabbit hole, but let's get back into the point here. Zion Williamson, at this point in time, yes, LT had said it. That field goal percentage is straight nasty in a good way. And honestly, not only did he shoot 58%, the last 9 games he was shooting at 60%. Like, listen, is he a 4? Is he a 5? It just seems like he's just putting up easy back. It's like he's just putting up put back shots. It almost reminds me of, you remember DeAndre Jordan. He's just like had high field goal percentage as a center.
Stupid. It was stupid. I think it was 60 plus, right? It was like stupid. 60
plus. Yeah, stupid. It was stupid. But, DeAndre Jordan, he didn't have a usage rate. So when you have this usage rate like Zion Williamson, oh, man, that's going to anchor you big time for you guys that love the big man. And he gives you that mix of big man with scoring. And that, honestly, that's what I love. But what type of player is he? Now, I know he's a power forward. Is he a 5? I mean, but anyways, listen, that's besides the point. It's always going to be hard for me to draft Zion Williamson. For me to get him, and I did draft him this year in a points league, but I feel like I'm not going to ever have him in a 9-cat league, LT, in the redraft format. I feel like it's never going to happen because I want to get him at a range of like maybe the end of the 3rd, maybe the 4th round. But me and you, LT, know he's not going to go that late. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. Any last regards to this? Oh wait, one more thing I want to say before I pass you back the ball on it is here's a little bit of a scoop that also makes me kind of question Zion. Did he work on his running, right? Because listen, coming out of college, and I'm going to try to help the people that love him, and this is why I even kind of concerned a little bit now. His jump shot was looking a little pretty good actually this year, but his steals and the blocks wasn't coming in this year. So I'll give him a pass. It was the first season. But listen, when he was at Duke, he was averaging close to 2 steals, close to 2 blocks. He's giving you that Josh Smith that was giving you those weird type of stats back? You remember him? Fantasy? LT? Remember, was it Jay Smooth? Was that his name?
Jay Smooth. Yeah. Why is he being brought up? I don't know. I don't understand. Josh Smith. Yikes.
Yeah. Jay Smooth would give you those weird high steal and block games just out of nowhere. That's what Zion Williamson would do out of Duke. But, I mean, obviously we know Zion's going to be better than Jay Smooth. But we wasn't getting that per 36 strength from Zion Williamson. But it's still a pass because he only played a little bit this year. Now we'll pass you the ball.
A couple of that was well said, Starks. I knew you wasn't gonna like Zion because he just ain't your flavor. I told you, man, he just ain't your flavor, man. I picked up. Some people like shrimp ramen. Hey, man, some people like chicken or beef. You feel me? I understand, but let me go ahead and just pump up the volume a little bit on Zion. Zion was just getting warmed up. He was just getting started. Again, the minutes, as you can see in this little block right here, starting to average over 30 minutes as time was ramping up. So he was getting that. And look at the shots. We saw that his shots were about, I think 15. But look at the shots the last about 10 games of the season. 19, 17, 20, 18, 16, 16, 19, 18, 7 for 9, 15. Guess what? He was still holding that high field goal percentage, even in those games where he was shooting almost 16 to 20 shots. So I'm taking a look at this time frame and trying to ignore when he first got in. He was, hard. There are only 19 games recorded, right? So again, he's going to be great for this area, if you're really going in hard, again, another cheat code. Try to chain my man. See if you can chain him with the drumsticks. See if you can chain him with a Westbrook. See if you can chain him with a LeBron. With these guys who are putting up so much extracurricular stats, to pair him with those guys are not going to hurt you in field goal. He can kind of offset a Westbrook maybe, but LeBron's going to go well with him. Drummond will go well with him. Other big men, if you're going like a big man comp, I mean, again, Zion's a good pick, and hopefully he'll last till the third round. But he's just too big of a name, Starks, not to go in that high first, second round. I think he's a third round pick, and probably a mid to third, to be honest with you. But he's not gonna go that late. But yeah, that's my thoughts, man. I think we're at 21. 24. It's all you, Stark.
Yeah, that will be the end of the second round. But let me say one more thing about Zion. I will say this. If there was anything, I know I was giving him a hard time, but I was surprised on him. His jump shot wasn't too bad. Wasn't really too bad at all. And honestly, there's so much room to improve. He's only like 19 or 20, something crazy like that.
Yeah, he's young.
But I want to see him actually do. Check this out. He shot 46% at that snipe line this year. He only took 13 attempts. I know that's a short amount of volume, but if he takes more, if you're making that, that high percentage, take more shots, and if he somehow averages like the 34 to 35 range at 3-point snipes, man, that would be a surprise. You just need to get off of Julius Randle, and I know you love him, but
what if I told you Zion is just Julius Randle younger? No. What if I told you that?
I would tell you, like, you take his mask off. That it's not Julius Randle.
You sure? All right.
Absolutely sure.
Keep. Hey, listeners, keep that in the record books. What if I told you Julius Randle is actually a better version of Zion? But anyways, Go ahead, Starks. Go ahead.
That's dirty. Oh, that's so dirty. So, listeners, I'm going to take one more pick to end this second round, and we'll continue this. This will be a two-part series again. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and say Ayton. I think Ayton, this is a fair spot. Ayton's probably going to go higher, too, in the second round, especially in the Dynasty format, but obviously this is a redraft. Ayton, I remember drafting him his rookie year, but maybe I'm just not he had a good season to be fair, even though he took the syringe, to his veins, but I don't know, just something about him that I always want more from certain players, and he just doesn't do what I want him to do, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to give you the value. 19 points a game, good. 12 rebounds a game, cool. 1.7 blocks, that's good too. 54% field goal percentage, that's good. Charity stripe 76%. It's like 2 point. I don't know. It just feels. I don't know. That's why I chose Porzingis over him, because I'm getting the snipes. I'm getting more blocks from Porzingis, and maybe LT can convince me to like Ayton a little bit more. Obviously, he's a younger talent in Phoenix, but Ayton. That's where I pick here. I'll pass you the ball. I don't got nothing else to say about it. What's your thoughts, man?
Man, I would love it if Ayton lasted until this point in drafts.
Right.
It would be amazing, because you just imagine being that first round pick guy. You come back and Ayton's waiting for you to pick up after you done picked up Anthony Davis, Greek Freak, Kevin Durant, any of those top five, potential five players there. You got DeAndre Ayton, a young guy, a young man here who's really, had a little bit of an issue, ran into injury this year, but was looking solid in his averages. So if he could just stay on the court, and actually play basketball instead of shooting his shot another way, then we would be fine. 54.8 field goal percentage in the 30 games he played this year, Starks. On 15 shots. So he's getting shots even with D Booker And there's another ball hog on this team, Kelly Oubre. Golly, you're able to get 15 shots with Kelly Oubre and Devin Booker on there. That's a large feat. And then you got he's a 76.9 free throw percentage shooter, so not bad for a big man. Average 12 rebounds a game starts. That's big man status written all over it, and close to 2 blocks a game with 19 points. And that's just in the small offering. Ayton, stop the silly stuff. Get serious. Work on your craft this offseason and come back stronger so I can draft you, man. That's what I want. I just want to draft you after getting the first round pick of next year's draft and getting Greek Freak and adding you to the team. It would be beautiful. But yeah, Ayton, he has potential. And I think that next year he will kind of jump into that top 15, not top 15. I'm sorry, top 10 center category. If he's close. He's close there right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably a little bit higher than that. I will say this real quick. I gave Ayton a hard time last year, which I actually still loved him last year, and I still like him now. The reason why I was hard on him as a rookie last year is I kept telling him, like, take the shots, man. Like, he just wasn't a usage rate guy. He just was very passive. I'm like, dude, you're a big man. I understand this is before Oubre was getting a lot of shine there last year. I'm like, dude, take the shot, because he was only taking 12 attempts last season. I think at one point in the season, LT, he was only taking like 11 or 10 shots a game. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I didn't understand that. But this year, he did step it up, like you said, the 15 attempts a game. That's a beautiful sight to see, especially with playing with Booker, Oubre. But, yeah, I think there's going to be better days to come. I don't know. I don't know why I was nitpicking, because he's improved this year versus last year.
He's still nothing but improve, yeah.
Hopefully the syringe is not making him play as good. So we're hoping that is not the case. But yeah, we're done with that. We're going to work on the early third round on the next episode. Be on the lookout for that, listeners. Probably sometime next week. I will go ahead and translate into the clutch shot. And the clutch shot I will take actually is, I'm just thankful to God, because I was my job. There was there was someone actually that got the coronavirus at my job. And I'm thankful to Christ that that they found it and the person's not working there. I mean, of course, I don't hope that person gets better as quickly as possible and the Lord heals him and he recovers. But I'm thankful that nobody else got it, right? And I'm just thankful for God for the protection. And I just pray for all of you guys out there still, if you're not working at home and if you actually still have to go out, like myself and other individuals, just stay strong, be prayerful. If they advise you to put on the mask, just go ahead and do it and just pray. Just ask God for protection and just don't let it fear you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just thankful for God and Christ for the protection. So that's the clutch shot I will take. I will pass you the ball, LT, if you have a clutch shot there, brother.
No, man, no clutch shot. I want to also thank God for keeping me safe. I've been able to work from home. So it was a little frustrating because my son, we've been trying to teach him from home too. So that's been a very, very interesting thing. But we haven't really, other than going out to get food, we haven't had to deal with maybe contracting something, maybe coming in contact with someone who's, ignoring the obvious, 6 feet and everything else. So we haven't had to deal with that. So we've been safe here. And thank God for that protection and having a house to be able to be comfortable in. So yeah, it's all gravy, but that's crazy, man. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad it worked out for you at your job too. I'm sure it's the same for all of our New Life Fantasy folks over there. Hopefully every one of you is safe.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, absolutely. So listeners, you can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, m.starkspal. Again, I share fantasy. I share the faith. If you guys have questions about, speaking about Christ, if you haven't, heard about, God yet, it's always welcome. And I just think it's important at these times now that we're going through that you receive Christ as quickly as possible, man, because this is close to the last of days. I mean, we're pretty much in the last of days, and I cannot be ashamed to share the gospel. So if you guys want to DM me in that sense, I don't mind. I actually thankful for a person that reached out, was in tears, was able to pray for him. So I'm just thankful for that. But God gets all the glory for that. So yeah, follow me on my Twitter handle. Give me a follow on Instagram, and I'll get to you at a prompt time. LT, where can they find you out there, brother?
Hey, you guys can find me on Twitter. I'm trying to up my Twitter game at Twitter at Sage Network _ So Sage Network _ You can also find me on IG at LT _ Sage. I may need to change that too. But yeah, you can find me there if you have any questions, fantasy, basketball related. I don't mind talking. I also know a little bit about gaming too. So if you want to talk about that, oh yeah, I meant to do that. I know about gaming, and if you want to hear Lewis in this video, if you want to hear Lewis complaining over and over and over again about sucking, then also check out this video. It is pretty hilarious. But yeah, so I appreciate y'all. And again, any questions, anything, also listener, that's what I forgot to say for my clutch shot. We had a listener who posted on the YouTube video, was happy to see the YouTube videos back. So I appreciate you, brother. And he had a question. He said that he didn't see the Wizards as a top tier team next year, as much as we were talking about them in the last episode. And I wanted to give you your quick thoughts, Starks, on the Wizards, man.
Okay, so he didn't think it was like a top tier.
Yeah, we had talked about their back end, their bench. We were saying how we felt like they were, after this year they'll be stronger for next year with Wall coming back. And he said he still thinks they're a back end playoff team, maybe fringe playoff team. And I had said,
go ahead.
And I said they with Wall coming back. If he plays at, I think I said 75 to 80% of what he was before, we're looking at probably about maybe, I'm thinking 4 or 5 in the East, only because it's the East. Are they better than the Magic? Yes. Are they better than the Pacers? Maybe. Are they better than who else is?
I don't know on that.
I think people, and this is what I told him too, I think people are sleeping on just how good John Wall was, man. John Wall was a very good player. He, like I said, if he comes back and plays at a high level. Beal's a better player now. They have Orochimaru. They have Orochimaru. They have Thomas Bryant. The guy said he doesn't believe in Thomas Bryant. He did say that he believed that they're gonna get another center and use him as a trade. So if you don't think Thomas Bryant is the answer at center for them, then I can understand what you're thinking. But yeah. So I just want to see what your thoughts were, Starks, real quick, and then we'll end it there.
No, that's good. Thank you, listener, for posting that message on YouTube. Thank you. I know that we had to take time off of YouTube just because, obviously, with a lot of stuff going on, and I know we've been busy. We've been busy too. Go ahead, take your time. I was going to also say to the listener, I think you are actually partially right in a sense, because I had to look a little bit deeper. If I juiced the orange and said they were an easy playoff team, forgive me. I think they're more of a back end playoff team, but I think they're still a playoff team right now. Looking at these teams, I didn't even realize the East actually LT is a little bit stronger than we give it credit for. Looking at these teams like Milwaukee, right? That's easy top tier. Toronto, legit. Boston, legit. Miami, oh my goodness, they're legit. Indiana, I still like them. Philadelphia is like, Brooklyn, Kevin Durant will be back. And then, like you said, Orlando is that piece, right? But I think Washington will fit in that 8 spot. So maybe they're just a shoe-in playoff team. But still, John Wall, I think some of us can kind of forgot like how good if he is healthy, he's really good, man. And that changes the team's dynamic drastically. But as far as the Thomas Bryant thing, I will say this. I honestly thought that so I will say this, and I guess I'll have to take credit for it, but I don't want to boast about it. I remember a couple years ago, I'll try to keep it short. But actually, it doesn't even matter. We've already elapsed time. It doesn't even matter. But Thomas Bryant was with the Lakers, and I kept saying, man, they need to play this guy. If he gets an opportunity when he was with the Lakers, he's going to flourish. And I think they cut bait with him, and Washington picked him up. Something happened, and the only person he had to leapfrog was D12 at the time. I was like, man, D12 is getting older. And actually, just before D12, there was someone else ahead of him, and I was like, yes, Thomas Bryant is going to get the opportunity. He's going to be good.
Was it Andrew Bynum?
No,
it wasn't before that. Okay,
it was somebody else. Was
Andrew Bynum?
It wasn't Gortat either. It was somebody else.
Gortat, yikes!
No, it wasn't Gortat. It was somebody else. It wasn't Mahimi. It might have been Mahimi. It was some shoe-in big. But anyways, they signed D12, and I was like, crap. Now they're going to try to use D12, but then D12 was like non-existent. I was like, here's Thomas Bryant's chance, and he did well, and obviously now he's a fantasy contributor. But anyways, longer story short, I think that maybe potentially Washington could get a center, but Thomas Bryant is good, and I don't see them actually doing it right now. Maybe they could draft a big. He could potentially be right, but I think Thomas Bryant is the real deal. So, but no, I don't. I still think it's a good chance. I think it's automatic they make the playoffs, but I don't think it's automatic they'll be.
Absolutely. And Sean Peters Mud, thank you so much. We appreciate you as well. I just want to make sure to shout your name out. Thank you for the reply, and hopefully it gives you an insight. I'm the only one you should be mad at. Starks is in line with you, and I think next year it's Wizards, Brooklyn, Miami, and the Celtics. I think the Raptors are going to be back in next year. But yeah, that's it. I mean, the East, like you said though, the East can fluctuate so much between those. There's like just a set 8 teams that should be in there, and Wizards should be part of those teams going in. So, but yeah, that's all I got, Starks. And again, Sean, appreciate your love and the support here, and thank you for hoping we're safe and we are doing all right. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. Always give us comments or even recommendations on our episodes. We'd be happy to do it. Again, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. With that, God bless you. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.